And we're live. Good evening, Sepmates. Tonight we are, of course, continuing Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood. From what I saw in the menu, we're about a third of the way through, so I suppose we'll be, it'll take about 9 sessions to finish the game, roughly, unless we hit a difficulty wall or something like that. I will try to start quickly. So I will try to not start any controversial topics tonight. The reason being that I had a hell of a week last week, and I'm going to have a hell of a week this week. So I'm a tad sleep deprived, and I need to wake up super early tomorrow. So I'm thinking I will finish at most at 10 tonight. So I might be a bit more direct tonight, in the sense that there will be topics that I just might not start, just because I know I'll be gone for a while if I start that. Speaking of, however, I did want to touch base very slightly on the issue of Bloodlines. I'm putting a link to a video in the chat for those who want to have a bit more of an in-depth look as to exactly what happened with Bloodlines 2. It's not an insider's point of view, in the sense that the person making the video doesn't seem to be working for Paradox or any of the people who are actually involved. But it is clearly a person who is a developer and knows a lot about these kinds of things. So it's going to expand a lot in terms of the kind of things I was trying to say last week, but couldn't quite expressed when I said that these things happen, that sort of thing, and that it doesn't necessarily mean that the house is burning down, that kind of thing. And he speaks for about 20 minutes, taking a lot of time to explain a lot of complex, or actually not intuitive, things about the industry from an insider's perspective of the industry, not of Bloodlines. It puts a lot of things in perspective, so take a look if you want to know why. Yes, it could be a big deal, but it's not necessarily a big deal what happened with Hard Suit Slab. So take a look. I found it very interesting, and even me, who's been in the industry, well, not anymore, but I used to be in the industry. I stayed there for 5 years, and I learned a lot. Just from certain it's like, for example, when you want to do your voiceovers, that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing I was never really involved with in the past, at least not from the perspective of decision making. So it was very interesting to get that extra perspective. So I highly recommend it. It seems to be relatively newish, about 60 followers. I've personally subscribed. I want to see if he does more in-depth videos like those about the industry. I'm very curious to see what he's gonna have to say next. So I personally followed him, and maybe you will too, who knows. So with that out of the way, there were 2 things I wanted to discuss. I wanted to expand a bit more on combat, but first I'm going to read chat because I think it's related to what I just said. Terraria says, my biggest thing with the situation is Outstar was very adamant about no one got fired, and then people did. Kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. Fair. Then again, she may not have known. Maybe it's something that happened afterwards. We don't know enough, and that's the whole point. We don't know. So let's just wait until we know more. But I do hear you. It's concerning, and it's really sad that those people lost their jobs. And I mean, again, we don't know. Did she know? Did she don't know? I don't know, but I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Outstar sounds like a really nice person. My very rare exchanges with her have been nothing but nice. So, I mean, I don't know her personally. I don't know. We'll see how things turns out and what we learn along the way. So back to Earthblood, I wanted to some wires crossed in my brain earlier today Because in the past week or so, I've been playing the very excellent Ghost of Tsushima. And first of all, that's a very, very good combat system. Highly recommended. And it's a very, very beautiful game. I usually don't care about how beautiful a game is. Like, Earthblood is not considered particularly beautiful, but personally I like it. I don't need more than this. I'm perfectly content with how this game works. I don't even care much about lack of animation or facial animation, that kind of thing. I don't care. But Ghost of Tsushima is so beautiful that I actually care. I was breathtaking. My breath was taken away, and my mind was blown on several occasions. Words are hard tonight. Playing Ghost of Tsushima. So, one of the mechanics in the game, because one day I'm probably going to make game design videos just to discuss theories about how to build quests that work, quests that don't, and eventually I think there's going to be a pretty big episode on just combat systems, like how to build a combat system that's complex and layered enough but not too much that you just have no real way of mastering it unless you really just sit down and say, okay, fuck this, I'm gonna figure things out. So far I feel like Ghost of Tsushima has hit a fairly perfect balance. It doesn't teach you the techniques well enough, so you do have to at some point pause and say, okay, I need to master this aspect, and then I'm gonna master this aspect. But it's simple enough that it's fine. The main mechanics, of course, is counters. That's really the main thing you need to master in Ghost of Tsushima. But there's another layer of the game that I find very interesting, which earlier today I thought, this could have really been a way to do things in Werewolf the Apocalypse. And we've touched on that a little bit last week when we were talking specifically about the two stances in this game should have been Ispo and Krynos, right? But playing Ghost of Tsushima, I expanded it a little bit more in my brain, because essentially what's happening is you have four possible stances in Ghost of Tsushima. Like moon stance, shield stance, or some such. I don't really... Water stance, wood stance, earth, I think. I don't really remember the names, but as you progress through the game, you learn these stances, right? And mechanically, they work exactly the same. You don't really feel different the way you move and fight. It stays the same, so it's not a layer that's gonna completely fuck your brains like, for example, Batman's game might do as you get further into the game and you're suddenly like, oh shit, how do I deal with a character with a gun? I don't know, I haven't fought a character with a gun in like 6 hours and I don't remember what the hell the button is, and then you have to go and search for 20 minutes, well, not 20 minutes, but search for some time in the menu until you're like, oh yeah, that's right, it's this weird occult mix of buttons that I can use against people with guns. In Ghost of Tsushima, you have that same mechanic that you need a different approach for different types of enemies, but it's all streamlined in the stances. Each of these stances are better against a particular opponent. So you have a stance that's good against people with swords, a stance that's good against people with shields, pole arms, pikes, long weapons essentially, and enemies that are just really buff. They call them brutes, enemies that are far larger than you. And what happens is that as you fight and you time your dodges, you time your counters, you time your parries, you time your attacks and everything, you find yourself having to switch your stance all the time to match what kind of enemy you're fighting against. It becomes a dance, a fluid. It's tactical in a different way. It's tactical in a fluid way, not as maybe when you're playing this game or a tactical game where you have complete control of the situation. It's different in the sense that you're going to go like, okay, I'm in this stance now, so I can take on these guys, and I won't have time to switch my stance to take on that particular guy. So maybe I'm just gonna throw a sticky bomb on that guy to keep him busy while I take those 2 downs, and then I can move on to my stance against shields, because obviously these guys are gonna be on my back when I'm done. It's a flow of battle kind of strategic approach that is very cool, and that remains the same mechanic even as it gets more complex. It's the same essentially, so you can master it. It just gets more complex because you have more potential stances and more different kinds of enemies, and then enemies gets mixed in different ways. So it gets more difficult without becoming a matter of what the hell was the combo of buttons I needed to use. The buttons stay the same, essentially is what I'm saying. Terraria is like, looks at the time, still don't see the point of this. The point of this is we could have done the same thing here with the forms. Like, you could have fought, for example, and switched between Krynos and Hispo depending on the type of enemies you were fighting. Again, we hinted on that, yes. Where the quick stance could have been Hispo and the Krynos could have been the heavy stance, yes. But we didn't have the extra layer of constantly shifting, not because of a preferred playstyle, but because a particular enemy has, for example, a particular weakness. So what I was thinking, for example, is that Hispos are known for their bite. They're particularly good when they're biting. Just like in Ghost of Tsushima, if you're fighting with a style that is more coming from up, for example, it's a stance that is better against taller people, for example. It's this, I think it's called moon stance, that's what you use against brutes. So the same thing is, if you're fighting an enemy that has multiple appendages, let's say you're fighting a Samurai, it's not necessarily faster, it's not necessarily a question of agility, like the agile stance is in this game. But if you're fighting in Ispo against a Samurai instead of, for example, staying in Krynos, you may have the ability to just bite and tear, for example, to just get rid of the extra appendages and that sort of thing. If you're fighting an enemy that zips around all the time, you'll probably also want to be in a quadruple form. Whereas if you're fighting an enemy that's a damage sponge, for example, you probably want the extra damage for a Krynos and that kind of thing. And I didn't push my thinking much further than that, but there might have been a place even for including in that a third stance, being the Glabro, for example. Maybe there are certain enemies where you don't need to be as agile or as strong, but you need to still have hands. And again, I didn't really push that thought too far ahead, but I thought that would have been interesting. It would have introduced the same kind of flow where you may have, for example, Samurai mixed with mechas, and you really need to stay in Krynos, for example, to deal with the mecha. So you can't downshift to Hispo to take quickly care, for example, of the Samurai. So what do? You have to think quickly on your feet, just like the sticky bomb, just to quickly distract, for example, the mecha and just rip through the Samurai and then switch back up into a Krynos. That kind of flow that you have in Ghost of Tsushima could have been used here, essentially. Terraria says, there are no combos in Earthblood, though. There are no combos in Tsushima either. That I didn't mention combos. Combination of enemies is what I meant, and there are several times when I've had to fight against a guy, the bigger guys with their batons, for example, in the middle of having the guys with the shotguns, for example. The enemy types would have needed to be switched around, of course. Probably it would have been a better way to go with different kinds of samurai with different advantages, for example. And that's where you take your forms to switch depending on what their powers are, for example. But yeah. Tara says, I disagree. The 3 forms are better for new players. 3 forms? You mean Hamid, Krynos, Lupus? I assume is what you mean? Instead of bringing in Glabro and Hispo? Oh, sure. I mean, I disagree in the sense that you don't necessarily need them for traversal, but for combat, why the heck not? It doesn't change much. It's not harder to grasp what they are. They just have different advantages in combat. It's cosmetic almost at that point, but at least it gives you the proper feel for all the forms. It's a very easy way to just introduce the 5 forms without making the game more complex for little advantage. Anyway, that was my take. Ghost of Tsushima is a very good game. So if you're looking for something that has great combat, great exploration, decent story, go for it. You can't go wrong. It's a great game. Now, let's go back to our friend Kahal. We just came back from giving our resident glasswalker control of the dam, I believe, or some such. And now, we were looking for spirits last time. So I went and found the last spirit. So I'm just going to quickly go and do that. Yes, it's up here. See what they did. You'll see what they did.
This is where Rodko ordered everyone to withdraw. Engine didn't even bother to recover its dead.
See how this game never lets me stay in Lupus? Like, never. Like,
the dam all the way over here. Impressive work.
The wolf is the traversal form. Let me traverse you, game. Let me traverse you.
He was really freaked out, so he went to demand an explanation at the dam. But the guards he tried to talk to put him in handcuffs and sent him off to a Nevada prison.
No idea where she is. Okay, so this is probably going to be a bit familiar to you because we were here when we were looking for spirits last time. And down here is where the raccoon was. Right? So we had a bear, we had a raccoon, and we had a deer or something like that. So from here, what happens is that we never noticed there was another spirit, a fox spirit, literally like 3 feet away.
Fox spirit, your sleep must end. Fen needs you.
I hear you, warrior of Gaia, and I am now awake. Ifen has my aid.
There we go. So we finished that quest. Tara's like, it takes 5 seconds to shift. You and I have completely different problems with this game. It's true. It still annoys me. It's just, it undoes what I'm doing all the time. It's just like I'm fighting this game just to walk through it. And yes, that is my main gripes with the game. Okay, now I'm not sure what's the fastest way back into the sept. Okay, that looks like the right way. Here we are. Let's go talk to Ifen first so we can grab the next quest if possible. Hey, Ifen. Again, shifting me back to Hamid. Just one thing though, I understand shifting to Hamid when, for example, he's talking. Like, he has an earpiece where we can talk to the rest of the sept. But if he's just making an observation, he's just basically thinking about, there are dead people here. Why shift? You can think in Lupus. Lupus can think. And like, Lupus can talk to spirits. Why shift me back?
The guardian spirits are among us once again. I can feel their strength. Thank you, warrior of Gaia. There will be other fights we must win to defend our forest.
I'm sure there will.
Return to me in time. I will have further need of your help.
And what if I do it right now? Okay, so we're not there yet. Probably, from what I understood, whenever you have a new story beat, you come back. So I assume when I'm done talking to, I guess, Rudko, we'll have to come back here. Chat says you can use Hamid. Use Hamid after all. In tabletop RPG, Hamid would probably be walking around the sept in Hamid. That's extremely true. Yes, and I would agree if, walking in Hamid didn't almost feel like I'm running backwards. It's just unpleasant to walk as a Hamid, plain and simply. Like, just when you're trying to... No, it's... Yeah. If they didn't want me... Let me rephrase that. They clearly posited the Lupus as the traversal form, so... I don't know. But I do agree. Hamids tend to be Hamid most of the time, and Lupus tend to be Lupus most of the time. So the issue, I suppose, is that they shouldn't have made Lupus the traversal slash sneak form, I guess. And the fix would have been super easy. You could have just made Hamid walk. But interestingly, they walk the same speed. Huh. Okay, so my jog is the same speed as the Lupus walk, which makes sense. But still, just a bit faster in the running and as a Hamid, and probably I would consider staying in Hamid while I traverse, but it's not what he did. Terra says, walking in Hamid seems uncomfortable. Okay, Lupus. Yep, exactly. That's the main thing. But then again, if they had done that, then Lupus would have been essentially useless outside of when you're trying to sneak through to assassinate enemies. Which I suppose I would have been okay with. Is that all the same discussions
Judging
we've
from
already
how
had?
long your diversion went, I take it your wounds are fully healed.
We didn't lose anyone, and the mission was a success, so I can't complain. But we're a long way from being finished with Endron.
What's our next step?
I still need to put some thought into it. Ask me later.
Okay, good. So we're not stuck wondering if we discuss certain things or not earlier. They're just not giving us opportunity.
How's everything going?
Good. Great, even. We're this close to taking Endron down. And it's all thanks to you.
Not just me. All of us.
True, but everything's changed since you came back. The whole pack is doing better. Why did you go away, Dad? Really?
You know why. After the death of your mother, something snapped inside me. And it cost Rafika's life. I was a raw nerve. Liable to give in to rage at the slightest push. If I'd stayed. If I'd hurt you.
But now you've come back and everything's okay. Please, Dad. I don't want you to leave me again.
Might be possible. Why? Why would I want to leave?
I came back because you were in danger. But the lesser of two evils is still an evil. I'm still at risk.
I know, but if I lost you again, I just want you to think about it.
I will, lady. I promise. Let's talk about it again when all this is finished.
So in chat, Terraria says, wounds are fully healed, acting like you can't just shift and heal everything. In Terraria is absolutely right. I was thinking the exact same thing when they had that conversation. I should have actually mentioned that while I was thinking it. I was just trying to push ahead. So mechanically what happens essentially is that in Werewolf the Apocalypse, at least in the existing versions, because it might be different in W5, but you have a maximum of 7 health levels, right? And a werewolf who is not in their breed form, so for example a Hamidbord, as long as he's not in human form, he's regenerating 1 of those elf levels per turn, which is 3 to 5 seconds. So in worst case scenario, in a minute, whatever damage you had, you're done. It's gone. You're just fully healed. So Rodko needing time to heal can work. It really kind of depends how he got wounded. The one thing that can take time to heal for werewolves is aggravated damage. There are 3 kinds of damage. So bashing is exactly what it sounds like if someone's bashing you. So blunt trauma essentially is usually what falls under bashing. Then you've got lethal damage. So usually things that are deadlier are more likely to kill you. So bullets or swords, things that will pierce you and potentially hurt, organs or rip out veins or that kind of thing. That's lethal damage. And then you've got aggravated damage, which is defined very differently from one edition to another and one splat to another. Like even some splats don't have aggravated damage. And some splats just say, yeah, aggravated just automatically kills, not supernaturals, but humans. Like, doesn't matter what it is, if you do 1 aggravated to a mortal, he's just gone. So it really shifts about. But usually, Werewolf the Apocalypse tends to define aggravated damage as fire, silver, or something that is very vile / worm tainted. Most of the rest is just fine. A storyteller, however, it's encouraged for storytellers, however, to encourage shifting something that should be lethal to aggravated if it's particularly problematic. Like a sword, for example, does lethal, but if you're cut like up to here in your goddamn throat, even though it's a sword, it can still be considered aggravated damage, but it's usually left for the storyteller to decide. Hits to the head, usually considered, or often potentially considered aggravated instead. So if you're shot in the face, aggravated. Rodko, if memory serves, fought a mecha, and I mean, so did I several times, and I was fine. So it's a bit weird if they decided to consider that as aggravated, and Rodko needed time to heal, and I've fought like, I don't know, tens of mechas by now, and they weren't aggravated for me, so it's a bit odd. As a storyteller, I might consider, because of their size and weaponry, it's literally a saw, or I believe they have, or something like that. I might consider the damage from those mechas as aggravated. I'd be open to considering it. So I'm on the fence, because it either makes no sense or it does. It really depends on storyteller's discretion on that one, and that's just... it feels like the kind of thing that should be ruled and not left for storyteller discretion. So just it leaves all of these questions completely open, which isn't great design. But that's Werewolf, not Earthblood. Earthblood is doing what they can with what they have in this case, I guess. Terra says, game devs, what is character building? Yeah, I assume that is in There you go. Teresa says, one scene I hate you, Dad. Next scene, please don't leave me, Dad. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, we could talk about it, I suppose. But I want to finish around 10, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But the long and short of it is, usually you want character progression to go through an arc. Like, it starts somewhere and then something happens to make it veer into another direction, and then eventually you get to a different point. You start from hate to love, but it's neither a straight line, right? Or at least it's got some ups and downs. This game is literally just zigzagging from love to hate, essentially. It's just a bit weird. There's no clear rhyme or reason between the two, and I completely agree with Terraria on that one. I think he said last week when she said I love you, Dad, or something like that, that it was not earned. The game, the storyline, and the relationship between the character did not advance in a way that made this moment feel earned, and he's completely right. Alright, so let's talk to Terraria's favorite character ever.
Here's Voke's data.
Hell yeah. This should give us a look at what Indren's mixing into its biofuel.
If this data contains what you hope it does,
Then we'll be able to land a heavy blow against Indren. It's probably got info on what they're doing in Nevada, too.
I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Okay, I do hope they get back to that, because, I mean, it would give weight and meaning to doing the side quests if at least eventually they do something with it.
How are things at the dam? Did they find out what we did?
Doesn't look like it. The plan worked perfectly. They must think they scared you off before you managed to do anything.
They'll figure it out in due time. We need to move. I'll go see Monica.
Pop by to see Adana, too, if you've got the time. She'd appreciate it.
Literally did those on the way. They are, I mean, come on, they're on the way to you. Okay. I guess they're just making sure you're going to do it. Some players might just go directly from one objective to another, for example, which is perfectly fine. Oh, my daughter is locked. Okay. Chastity belt time. So, Radko, did you have time to think about it in the 3 seconds since I left?
Have you had time to plan our next steps? We've got to act before they realize what we did at the dam.
I know, and I'm ready. Go get Ava and Adana. It's time to attack our final target.
Just spoke to them.
The plan is simple. No unnecessary risks. We go in as a small team and get the data on Indren's twisted experiments. And we let the media do the rest of the work for us. Ava?
The room housing the data we're after is impossible to unlock from the outside. Trust me, we tried. Which is why I need you, Cahal, to connect me to the server in their central control room so I can open the way for Adana.
The problem is, even if we manage to open the door, that room is under high surveillance. I'd be detected before I manage to recover anything.
So Ava said, we need security to keep its eyes off the screens for a few minutes so you'll have room to work. Blowing up the refinery should do it. I'll handle that.
That would put the site out of action and get their whole security team's attention. 2 birds with 1 stone.
But that still won't buy you too much time, 80. You'll have to be quick.
3 minutes is all I need. And then our problems are solved.
Ava, you'll be in charge of coordination. I'm counting on you. Cahal, we'll meet in the area that links their outpost to the fracking site.
Okay, we'll draw less attention that way. But if the outpost raises an alarm...
Declan and I will jam their communications, just in case.
Adana, you go about your normal workday until you get the signal. Everyone else, we attack this evening. I wish you all the best of luck.
Okay. So in chat, Terraria adds, stagnant characters are also valid, but not zigzag. And I agree. He also rightfully chastises me for the comment I made saying, "Yo, Dan, inappropriate," and he's perfectly correct. I did mention I was a bit sleep deprived, so I did not properly filter that one out. I do apologize. I hope I didn't offend anyone. Okay, let's go talk to Ifen. Nope. Okay. Let's go straight to the story then. Fine by me. Here it says, this evening. Oh, by the way, I looked into the chat thing. I will do it. I just didn't have time to set it up. I saw a version that would have meant making an entire layout, which I don't have time to. But the thing I found literally 4 minutes before I started the stream would have just made it essentially like on the side, not taking too much space and see-through, right? So you just see the text when they're fresh, and after a couple seconds they go away. That would be ideal. I'm gonna set it up. I just didn't have time. Well, I would have had time, but I didn't want to risk it because I was just about to go live, and sometimes OBS is a thing. It works when it works, but when it doesn't, it really doesn't. So I didn't want to risk breaking out my settings seconds before I went live. Next week, though, what's going to happen is I will make sure the chat is visible, probably on the top left, just up, or maybe under my face. I'm not sure yet, but it will be there. So people who are watching this later on YouTube, for example, will have access to just seeing the stream as it goes. Yeah, Terraria says OBS is a thing. Yes, it is. It's a wonderful tool. For the most part, it works really well, and I've had barely any complaints.
Declan, are you ready for this evening?
Hey, Carl. Yeah. I spent a fair bit of time watching entrance sites. There won't be any problem in our site.
Chat says, you need to learn how to move while talking. I can move while talking. I'm just purposefully not doing it because many games will just trigger cutscenes and things like that, so I just don't want to... I just want to make sure that I don't talk over the game, or that the game don't talk over me. Just want to make sure that I can talk for as long as I need to, and the game is allowed to do whatever it needs to do as well.
What's the layout of this place like?
The fracking site is built in the shape of a cross. The labs where Adana works are to the north, and the refinery to the south. The flare stacks lie to the east and west, and in the middle is the central control room.
The central control room. That's where I install Ava's relay.
It's fairly close to the entrance after the outpost. You shouldn't run into too many problems on your way there. Though they recently received some new kit from Nevada. Large caliber defense turrets. And I'm sure they're loaded up with silver.
I'll be careful. Thanks for the info. Good luck this evening.
Right
I
back
admit,
at you. Thanks.
I don't think I got most of that. As I said, a bit sleep deprived. He said things about stuff being east, west, and so on. I didn't grab any of that, but I did get the fact that I'm going to expect turrets from now on, and that I should start to go to the center. Hello.
Humans are bleeding Gaia dry and strengthening the worm.
Yeah, it's what you do, buddy. All right. Is that the central one? I don't think it's the central one. I'm not too concerned about it though, because for the most part, I'm gonna have people to kill and then just move next to whatever objective there is and just press E and the story will happen. So I'm just not concerned about the fact that I did not follow what they said as well as I should have. Tara's like, hey, humans do more than bleed people dry. They do. They do. Ah, there it is. Door. But they also do a lot of that. Okay. I do still think that this is an inspired take. Just using seeing through. We've discussed at length how it doesn't make a lot of sense, but also it really does simultaneously.
An intruder managed to get inside, but from what I've heard, he fled before he could do anything.
We lost a number of men.
And oh, okay. I thought he saw the body, but he didn't. Oh shit, he turned around. I was gonna try to sneak sabotaging quickly, but I guess I'm not gonna do that. Trying to remember how this game works. That is the problem with playing once a week. There we go. Trying to heal. Okay, that wasn't too obvious. There we go. They do have saws. I didn't imagine that. This could have been such a cool animation, like ripping the thing apart and just biting the guy's face off, but no. Instead, it's an animation where I barely see what's happening. Eh. Target those with the blue next to their elf bar. Blue means silver. Oh. Oh, that's good to know, because I honestly just thought that only the shotgun people had silver. Okay, so my objective's over there, behind this locked door, and I can't really go anywhere except that door or that little thingy. Gotta start there, because this sometimes probably goes to the same place, but sometimes it leads to secrets. Same place. That was to be expected, but it's fine. Actually use those now, so I guess that's one of the oh, hello. It's one of the good signs, I guess, of the new design of patching the game so that they now see the corpses. I'm probably gonna start using the arrows, bolts. Okay, oh, I don't see my... Okay, let me just quickly try to remember what my skills do. Okay. So, I can roar, which, as I recall, was rather OP. Oh, that's the fourth thing, right? That's the one that I should be getting next, right? Okay, so we're going to keep that dot so we can get this as soon as we can. But eventually, we may see if there's a way to have more bolts, just because we're going to start using them now. Right, and this could be interesting eventually, because rage is really key to staying alive. I needed to pounce, I needed to roar, and I needed to heal every 3.5 seconds, because pretty much everything deals way too much damage. Well, not too much, but just in the context of this is a Werewolf the Apocalypse game, I feel like I'm a bit quick to go down, I guess. Actually, no, that's not even it. Like, it'd be fine if I was quick to go down, considering how many people are trying to kill me at the same time. I guess my main issue is that healing isn't constant, like it should be, because that's how it is for werewolves. Having to trigger my healing and the fact that it costs me what I need to use to kill stuff, because every enemy are just damage sponges unless I use a rage attack. It's not a bad mechanic, it's perfectly fine as a mechanic. It's just not Werewolf the Apocalypse. Okay, that was an actually pretty interesting level design. Sneaking around those places. Although, who put that catwalk no human can ever go to? That's a question that I have. You're not a spirit, are you? No. Okay, but I can go there, and we've got guards. Okay, we've got guards pretty much all over the place. Trying to go there. Let's take the long way around.
Your biopsy's okay. No, no.
Oh, come on.
Oh shit.
Like, how was I supposed to see or actually hear that conversation if the second I come in the room... Oh, that was a short fight. So whatever this guy wanted to say, I will never know. Oh, hello. Just want to make sure there's nothing else, no spirits, for example. Okay. I don't need more. Okay. Terra says, you don't need more bolts. Also says, see, Pentex cares about Gaia. They're allowing Gaia to grow on their roof. Right. And Senel's like, yeah, but it's just PR, you know? It really is. It really is, though. The whole going green shtick, the biofuel stuff, that's just all PR. Oh, did I also kill everyone in... Oh no, I'm in the other room. Okay. Okay, yeah. No. I don't know. I'm confused. Don't need those. Don't need those. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm not in the room I thought I was. Okay, this is just a completely different spot where I can't interact with much of anything. And this is locked. Feels like I went ahead to wherever the story's gonna take me next. Oh no, not even. I've been here. Oh, okay. I just took a different path. I see. Okay, right. So I could have either arrived from here to where I want to go, or done the thing going through the roof. I'm glad I went through the roof, because that's where spirits live. Jerry says you could have looked in and see them walking back and forth, or gone through the doggy door. Now, yes, but it's just the way the game has worked so far is like this.
At the training center.
Yeah. Major Grainer made the request in person.
I'll explain that in a second.
He's not the sort of person you say no to.
For the entire rest of the game, they've always put the people that were talking in a position where I can walk in, just find the nearest cover, listen to the conversation, and then eventually start trouble if I wanted to. But for the first time in the game, I had to actually be careful, like, right away. And that just kind of threw me off. So from now on, I'm not going to just, you know, open a door and walk in. I know that sometimes I need to be careful. Not sure if he's going to see me. He's not. How quick? I doubt I can just take this guy down.
Something's up.
Yeah, it's not what I was targeting. Fine. Oh, you're not dead? Really? I'm gonna kill you by yelling. That's what I'm gonna do. Really? You're not gonna... I've got plenty of rage. Okay. That's weird. I tried to roar, like, several times and nothing happened. That is weird, to say the least. Okay, so my objective is over there. This goes down, potentially, to my objective. Let me just study things here. Okay, yeah, that's the only place I can go. Let's do that. Chat says, I mean, it is biofuel, just made from 100,000-year-old microbes that have turned into black sludge. You can't... Oh, I wasn't heavy. You're right. Oh, and in heavy, I probably have just nothing. Right. Yeah, heavy, I bought nothing. Rush forward, slashing everything in its way. Rush now generates fury when hitting enemies. Deals additional health. Heavy stance not regenerate over time. Like it should. Baylor's Grasp. The Kraus inflicts damages and knocks down all enemies in front of him. Wind Claws. During that has a wide area of effect. Okay, that's what happened here. That's fine. That was on me. I switched on a form that I never switched to and shouldn't have. Is there a spirit here? No. And why is that here? Interesting. I'm not against rooms that are useless. It just makes the world more believable, so that's perfectly fine. Didn't get your joke. I did not, no. For a second there, he looked like Kano, like the yellow glowy eyes.
Ava, can you hear me? I met up with Rodko. We're going through the gate of the fracking site. We're ready to launch the attack.
Understood.
So I went through that, but they also did and it looked like I met them there, so they snuck by everyone and killed no one. Not sure.
Now it's our turn.
I'm headed for the refinery. We'll meet up when it's over. Good luck, brother.
Is that a spirit I see in the back?
And you, Rodko.
Everyone's in position.
I'll show them hell.
I'm in the lab. Everything seems quiet so far.
Yeah.
No one suspects a thing.
Then let's get going.
Keep talking out loud like that, and it's gonna stay that way.
Adana, as soon as I create a breach, you get copying. And be careful. All of you.
If I was in deep cover in a Pentex lab, I would just go like, and keep it like that. Like, you don't want to just talk when potentially people with superpowers are nearby from Raya or some such. Might hear you through walls or whatever. Okay, so that's where I need to go. Already got the sniff. Doesn't seem like there's anything over there, but there might be here. They went up there, and I can't. That's fine. Okay. We're going. Chat's like, just talk out loud in an open office. Yeah. And then continues with, at least she's not yelling, hey, I think it's a black spiral dancer. That's not a stealthy way of, you know, keeping your cover. Sniff, sniff. Thought I had changed his jacket to the Iron sign.
Central control room. You just gotta cross the courtyard.
Memo to staff. For the attention of all, in addition to the usual equipment, Division 4 has sent the latest model of defense turret produced by our specialists. An officer will visit each unit during the evening in order to present the model. Please address any questions you may have to your direct supervisor. Okay. Cheria says, I spelt out my joke and still didn't get it. I really don't get the joke. Oh, I thought the joke was in the heavy thing. So the joke seems to be in the oil part. Okay, so let me read that. Oil is biofuel because it's made of 1,000,000,000-year-old microbes that have turned into black sludge. Correct. I'm sorry. Just gonna need to. Okay. Go back up. I'm aware of what it is. I mean, it is biofuel just made from... I mean, I understand what fuel is. What you're saying, I guess, is that it's not biofuel, it's just regular fuel? Is that the joke? There might be an aspect I don't get just because maybe I don't remember what they're selling this biofuel as. I mean, I'm just... as I said, very sleep deprived, and oh, turret's there. I mean, I'm just not really reading into the party line. It's, I mean, it's Endron. Obviously, whatever they're selling is not going to be what they say it is. So I didn't read too much into it. Okay, so, you know, maybe this time we don't kill everyone.
Listen up, troops. As you're well aware, tonight we've been joined by a new batch of soldiers from Nevada. They've gone through the same enhancement programs as you have, undergone the same training. I want no dissension, no disputes. I'm sure I don't need to remind you what will happen if you can't play nice. Endron has no need for uncontrollable elements. As for you who just arrived from Nevada, you know the drill. Some of you had life sentences before Endron offered a helping hand. Step out of line just once, and we'll send you right back. Endron's labs are always looking for new guinea pigs. I hope I make myself clear. Speaking of Nevada transplants, I'm sure you've noticed that turret above us. We've received several of them to bolster this site's defenses. We all know what we're up against here, so these babies come loaded with silver bullets. Makes them pricey though, so be gentle. Finally, I know you've all gotten a look at the elite guards from Nevada. They're the very pinnacle of what Endron's enhancements can accomplish. The treatment they've gone through is reserved for the best of the best. Prove your worth to Endron, and you'll be rewarded in kind. That's all for now. Take some time to get to know each other. An officer will come to get you in a while to assign you to your posts. Dismissed.
Okay. So, Nomad is stepping in, says regular fuel is coming from the decomposition of carboniferous trees. Saying to Terraria that he gets it, and Terraria answers it is actually closer to plankton, but yes. Right, so the joke essentially is that all fuel is biofuel. I get it now. Okay. Oh, wow. So, my first turret, just not an issue at all. I'm just turning it off, plain and simple. Can I destroy it, though? I don't know. Better not mess with it. That's an awful lot of people down there, and I don't have rage. Wait. I wasn't paying attention to my objectives. Okay, no, I can't go there. Or can I? What's the green thingy there? Doesn't look to be a passage. Okay. Let's see where this goes. Not at all where I want to go. Oh. And I'm... okay. So I will need to kill all of these mofos. Fine.
Someone collect that pelt! Stay on your guard!
You know what? I guess screw this. Just gonna... Okay. Where do you go? Where I needed to. Okay.
I see the terminal.
Connect me.
Just looking for any kind of collectible first. Oh no. Sniff, sniff. Barely. Oh. Last one left. Yes, okay. And that's where I would have enjoyed having the fourth skill, I think. Nope, don't like that form. So now did you get the alert out? Because it kind of sounds like the alert is out.
You're good to go, Ava.
Time to work my magic. I'm on their network, but I've got a problem. Yeah, shit. They've changed their encryption. We're going to have to bring down their whole network if we want to unlock the doors to those servers.
Tell me how.
Ava, the flare stacks. That'd be the fastest way. Oh, you're right. We use the pressure controller on the flare stacks to force a system reboot. That'll unlock the whole site. Dad, can you see the flare stacks? The big towers with flames coming out the top? You need to place Ava's relays on those terminals.
Okay. Guess I'll start with this one because I got a door to it. And Thierry is right. I do not use Frenzy enough. I actually completely forgot that was in the game. Memo to staff for the attention of all. In addition to the usual equipment, Division 4 has sent the latest model of defense turret produced with our... We know this. That's the problem with playing once a week, essentially. The other issue being the lack of feedback. What? Okay, let's get some rage in us. Just complete 180 at the end there. fight is not going my way. Okay, frenzy is R. Alright, we need to remember that. Okay, so I did not pay attention to the camera and paid the price for that. That's very much on me. I was quite careless. Okay. Activate the door, disactivate cameras. There we go. Not much to gain now from it, but since we're trying to get all the way over there, an unlocked door seems like a good thing to have. So there's one there, and one there. Let's see where those take us. Nomad is like, I think those guards paid the price, not you. That's very fair. Yes, we know about the turrets. Thank you. Do you really want to make sure I'm aware of the turrets?
I'm at the first flare stack.
Don't just stand there, hook me up. The longer you take, the more dangerous this mission gets.
Okay. Ah. First guy I take down, boom, already. Alright, let's just go all out. Like, I waited for the guy that was next to it to go away, like, at some point, let me stealth. Didn't even remember those guys exploded, I just gambled on it. This is a very problematic move. Most of the time it misses, but when it does hit, it's pretty sweet. When I'm in Frenzy, the third hit, he just kind of charges. Okay. Yeah, whoa, whoa, whoa. Y'all let me heal a bit. That one right there. That charge there that completely obliterated the mecha. Pretty cool. Just most of the time he charges in a completely random direction, but when it works well, it really works well. Okay, so that door is locked, so it means we need to find another way in. Since I came all the way from there, I assume the way in's gonna be here. Lock door. Cameras. That would have been, the plan would have probably been to somehow not kill the guy that was here, sneak by and go under there. But the guy that was there would have definitely seen me, so I'm not quite sure what the plan was here.
Ava, I've connected you to the first flare stack.
Good. Keep it up. We've got this.
Ooh, 4 points, y'all. Let's do this right now. Ooh, here we go. Okay, so Frenzy heals and heals even more. Right, okay, so I think we're gonna want this next, because health is definitely a problem. Yep. Oh, that's gonna be nice too. Yeah, I think we're gonna keep Agile. That's definitely the stance I prefer. And Frenzy whenever we can. Did I sniff you? I did. Okay. Not entirely sure where I've been and not been, but I don't think I've been over there. Definitely have not been to that spirit yet. Tara's like, you can now be a red spiral dancer. Yeah, that's fair enough. Wow, that's like the 5th time I think we've seen this.
Shit! They detected my first attempt to connect. They're trying to find me.
Block them.
That's what I'm doing, but you need to move. I can't jam them forever.
What do you think I've been doing? Like fighting 600 guys on my own? Okay. Seems like we probably skipped a couple of things. Let me just see if there's a spirit over there. And there's one there. A couple there. Okay.
I'm at the second flare stack.
Be careful. It seems like they realized something happened to the first one.
Do you think it has something to do with, you know, several dead guards? I've lost where the spirit is, but that's fine. Please take note of the new directives sent by Division 2. Equipment and products received from them are aimed at increasing the yield of our site. Fit the modules on the flare stack as soon as possible. The new compound received must replace the current compound 2G8 injected in the ground during the drilling process. Attached are the technical and chemical annexes sent by Division 2. Please address any questions you may have to your section manager. Yay, deactivating turrets. They weren't too bad, but I'm kind of glad I don't have to deal with two of them shooting at me simultaneously. Let's get rid of cameras because I never think about them. That's where the spirit is. There we go. I don't care. Okay. Let me just see if I can put a point in frenzy here. Okay, not yet here. What would that do? Immune to almost any attempt at interruption. I would like that in my agile form. Okay, yeah, no, we're gonna wait until we can buy this one there. Then I may start putting points in the heavy stance just because I want to see what the skills for it do, just in case I like them. Yeah. Terra says you can electrobolt camera. No, I'm aware. I just don't, for some reason, don't even think to look for them, and that's one of the things that's been biting me in the posterior. Oh. Wow. Okay. Stealth is just not possible anymore. Like. Okay, so yeah, that skill is just press to win. Oh, wow, and I even go to whoever's next when I'm done. Okay, that's why can't I? Guess it takes 2 rage or something. I don't know. Yeah, okay, it costs 2. Okay, it's powerful, but it costs 2. That's fine. What you're seeing there, for those who don't know Werewolf, this ability there, attacking this quickly, moving from target to target, is what Rage is supposed to do. That should not be, if we're trying to be accurate, I mean, that should not be a end of form thing to buy. That's the baseline. That's where Rage starts. However, usually it's a cost per action, so I mean, just pressing that button for there once is almost the equivalent of spending 5 rage or some such, so Cahal would be completely out of rage when he's done with that particular animation, but at least the feel is there, and at least finally I feel fast, like I can just quickly dash around to my next target, as I should feel I can do just without spending rage, just as a Krynos moving about quickly, being bipedal, but quadruped. Make regular checks on the pressure levels of the flare stacks. An overload will lead to an immediate forced shutdown of the machines and a reset of the security system in order to avoid damage to site facilities. In case of any incident, those responsible will be subject to severe punitive measures. I do get, however, why they put that in the end. From an action game perspective, if you start with what I'm having now, where do you go from there? The answer is gifts. If I had designed this game, I would absolutely have made you, since you even have spirits and quests that makes you talk to spirits left and right, so you could have done quests for each and every single one of them, and when you're done with those quests, which is called Shimonage, you could have gained gifts. And those gifts could have included things like Razor Claw, that just increases your overall damage for an entire combat, for example. You could have gotten Spirit of the Fray, which in-game makes you faster in the sense that you just win initiative. You act first, right? So it could have been some kind of a devastating attack that I can do to break stealth if I haven't broken it yet, for example. Let's say I've stealth killed a couple of guys and I'm ready to actually start the freaking fight. Instead of pressing Q to enrage, I could just press Q to use Spirit of the Fray and just obliterate 2 or 3 guys right then and there, breaking stealth, being already in Krynos, ready to go, and then the fight starts with whoever's left. That could have been a way to give you more power, and that's just up the top of my head. It just came there, like in a few seconds of playing this game. There's so much more to do. There are books filled with gifts that could have been adapted here.
I've put the relay on the second flare stack.
Here we go. 80. As soon as Vodko blows the refinery, I'll reboot the system. You've got 2 minutes max to copy the data. Are you ready? Just say the word. Now, Vodko.
On it. Well, that should attract their attention.
Madonna, get moving. I'm on my way.
As soon as you've got what you need, we're out of here.
The alarm's going off. Fuck. Get out of there, Adana. Forget about the data. They're coming. They're...
80. How do I get to her?
The elevator at the center of the site. It's the quickest way.
Rod, go.
Already on my way. I'm almost there.
Find my
the other
daughter.
way in. Okay. So now that my daughter is in danger, I'm gonna take a moment to just pause the game and go spend some points. So chat was voting to finish Agile form first. So I assume you mean here. In Agile stance, if Krynos' health is low, addition... Oh, you mean before starting doing heavy stuff. Yeah, I suppose, but I'm not quite sure I like this one because my health is just... Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm almost always low. That's pretty annoying. And the rage will allow me to get into frenzy faster, which keeps me alive. Okay, yeah, alright. Let's finish Agile now. Then I'll finish Frenzy, and when I've mastered that general combat loop, I will start experimenting just for fun with Heavy. That was good advice. Thank you, chat. Oh. Was I offline, chat? Could you please confirm? Because I just got the message, welcome to the chat room. Like, as if I just was not in my own chat room before. Gonna keep playing in the meantime, but I see you here. Okay, but I didn't go off at all? Okay, that's fine. Nope, go back down. Go back down. I see sniff sniff. Thank you for confirming, chat. That's very much appreciated. Okay, so I can potentially kill that guy, but he's literally like gonna be seen by this guy and that other guy who's doing patrols. I could potentially kill that other guy over there if I'm patient enough to make my way over here, but that would literally be the only kill I can get away with in this room. Which is, camera. Seriously? Oh, yay. Just random easy guys. Exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, where's the big guy? There you go, big guy. One thing also I realize I don't do enough is grabbing folks. It kind of finishes them off quickly. Especially those guys who are just ridiculously damage spongy. Again, I just feel like I lifted up the guy and he died. I don't see what I did to him. I think that's where it came from. Okay, so I couldn't sabotage. There was a camera there. If I had managed to sneak here, which I don't know how I was supposed to do that because there was a camera on the way, I assume there's going to be a computer that would allow me to take out the cameras. We've seen that. Or not. Oh yes, there it is. So I suppose I was... Actually, I have no idea what I was supposed to do.
I made it to the lab.
I see a helicopter approaching the site. Get a move on.
Oh, you're funny. Can't shift the lupus now. Instantly shifts the lupus. Oh shit, okay. Don't say. Okay. So before that started, I was gonna say, sounds like a perfect room for a boss fight.
She's unconscious.
Damn it.
Bastards. Let her go. Should've paid for this.
Hang on. I'm coming.
I mean, you say that, but we all know you're actually going to stop 4 sniffs on your way.
Itana! Rodko!
Stop all actions against the Tarker Mill's den. Priority order? Sorry. President Richard Watkins. Okay. Our counterintelligence division has detected an undercover element. The identification of the individual is a priority. Any action against the base could lead to the withdrawal of the uncovered enemy agent. Stand down of assault teams indefinitely. Major Grainer, you are called to the Nevada side. Bring your best elements with you. We have another pack to be subdued here.
They knew.
Huh. Not sure why you're surprised, but okay. Just gonna wait. I'm gonna go Crino, no, Lupus, then open this. Just want to make sure if there's a spirit. There's one there. Okay. Are those meant to be fetishes? Like, is that supposed to be a pain dagger or something like that? A bit confused. Well, not confused, but intrigued, I guess, as to what they were going for.
He slaughtered them all.
Damn it. I have eyes on Madonna. They've taken an elevator to the roof. She's still unconscious.
And Rodko.
He's a few rooms ahead of you. I think he's given in to his rage, Cahal.
No, not you, Rodko.
Please, Cahal, you have to do something.
So he's killed them all. I'm not even sure who's the he you're mentioning. I'm gonna quickly run back because I thought things would, some rooms would connect that didn't, which implies this over there is a room I did not go into. There we go. Sniff, sniff. And that's it. All right, cool. boss fight again. So is the implication that, oh my god, Rudko slaughtered them all is a, oh my god, he's in frenzy? Because, I mean, I slaughter people all the time, and that does not imply I'm in frenzy. So, I mean, from the part where Ava says, I think he's in frenzy, that makes sense, but before that, it could have been anything. Are you saying I'm gonna have to kill my own back alpha?
Brother.
Yep. Great. What's that? Oh, easy. Okay. Can I punch that in your face? The answer is kind of. I have no idea what's happening. This could be some gift I'm not thinking about, but you are aware that you can just pin him down, right? That's a thing you can do.
They've taken her. I'm sorry. I could not resist my rage.
I know, my friend. No one could blame you.
She's all that's left of my sister. Find her. Protect her. For Ludmilla.
There are so many ways this could have been handled. They went for drama and narrative instead of making sense, I guess, which I can respect to a certain extent. To a certain extent, they're trying to drive the point and the theme that rage is a bad thing, which is true.
He was overtaken by rage. He would have killed me.
Rocco, please. You can't be gone.
Damn it, Ava, snap out of it. They've taken my daughter. Where is she?
They took her to the roof.
Guide me.
Okay.
The elevator's in the office above you. You should be able to get there through a nearby ventilation duct.
I think I saw that, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. Okay, first I'll read chat and then I'll cover that. So, yummy human flesh. Thrall of the worm fleshy, which is true. Hamids, when they're in Thrall of the worm, they eat whatever they just killed. So, once again, this was not a frenzy. This was another Thrall of the worm, which is weird because Thrall of the worms are pretty damn rare. And that's two in the same game here. So, that's, yeah, that's a thing. Next, let's say a werewolf is in frenzy, right? You can wait it out. Like, werewolves just don't go like, hey, this guy's in frenzy, so I'm gonna kill him. No. Even a Thrall of the Worm, you don't do that. You pile on him with a couple of other werewolves, just hold him down until it passes, or you just leave him the fuck alone until it passes. So he could have snuck by, for example. He was busy eating a guy. There was no reason I had to bother him and have a fight. He was not in a frenzy, kill everything. So he was in a thrall of the worm eating a guy. So, I mean, it's bad, sure. He would be worm-tainted for the hell, sure. Yes, breaking the litany even. Thou shalt not eat the flesh of humans. But I'm trying to save my daughter here, so, you know, sneaking by is a thing. I'll get back to Rodko later. Or, once again, you just hold him down until it passes. Another thing. Once again, you don't thrall the worm every second weekend. You maybe thralling the worm once or twice in your whole goddamn life. Even frenzies, regular frenzies, are not that frequent. If you're particularly pissed, sure. And emotions ran high in this particular scene, so I suppose I can get that. But you can also prevent a rage, for a frenzy. There's something called willpower in the game. It's a stat that you usually get more than you'll ever use out of. Like, most tribes start at 4 or 5, and then you're probably going to buy more as you do. And werewolves don't tend to use them as often as, let's say, vampires or mages. So they tend to keep them and have them available pretty much whenever. So when you frenzy, you just use one of them, and then you don't. You just don't frenzy. So frenzies are actually fairly mechanically easy to dodge. Conceptually, they're supposed to be hard to dodge. It takes a strong effort of will to do, but it's something that werewolves tend to just be able to do. They don't walk around going in frenzy every 5 minutes. They work, they meditate, they stay balanced, they do what they need to do to keep said willpower high conceptually, so that when they're about, something just hits a nerve, they can just go and not, slaughter everyone in the room. Because if they didn't do that, there's no way in hell the Veil would ever hold. Werewolves just frenzy, as we're seeing in this game, every 5 minutes. So it's not a bad theme. Rage and frenzy are a strong theme, and I get why narratively they want to explore that in this game. It makes sense. It's an interesting theme. They're just hitting the nail on the head, like, repeatedly and not very subtly, consistently since this game started, it feels. Tyria then says, Mother's touching himself. That sounds wrong. Yeah, no, right. No, he was healing himself for sure, yes. But the fact that when he was done, it just kind of explodes around him, that's the part I don't know what he's doing. Another thing is, you can't heal yourself with Mother's Touch. You need Grandmother's Touch for that. Another thing, he's not a Theurge, so he's not supposed to have Mother's Touch. Unless Silverfangs get it. Maybe Silverfangs get it. I don't know, actually. It's possible. It's possible. Hamid's sure the fuck don't. Then, okay, you taking Shift Glabro and heal. Glabro's not in the game, so I'm a bit confused. Rodko, you are a waste of Silverfang. You forgetting you can shift. He's not sure why he would shift. He's already in Krynos. Also, in a frenzy, you tend to just always be in Krynos. You don't really get a choice into that. You can either, when you're in frenzy, you're either automatically Krynos, if your plan is to fuck shit up, or Lupus, if your plan is to get the fuck out. And then you need to give some sort of weight to some form of frenzy, because there is no weight to normal frenzy. True. There's 0 weight to, narratively speaking, I mean, to normal frenzies in this game. So I get why... Oh. I guess they're using Thrall of the Worm narratively the way normal frenzies would be narratively used in tabletop game. If that's your point, yes, I think that's what they're doing. That makes sense. Yeah, that's probably what they do. Teria says, Children of Gaia are the tribe that gets Mother's Touch. Yes, absolutely. I'm just not entirely sure they're the only tribes that do. Okay. Okay. Let's climb the ladder. Or not. Why put a ladder there if... probably just to make you think you can climb, so you're gonna try the other way. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Sniff, sniff. 2 points. Okay, this is the one I've been waiting for. Because now we're gonna heal a lot more. It's gonna help us stay alive. Teria says, no, I'm saying he was able to talk, so he could have shifted and healed himself. No, he could not, because he was filled with aggravated damage. Werewolf claws do aggravated damage, so even if he shifted, he was just... I mean, a werewolf doesn't die, for example, like from his wounds per se, in the sense that if he was still alive at that point and in control, he would not have eventually died like he just did. Like if he reverted back to Hamid and was able to talk, you're correct that he could have shifted into another form. I could have brought him back to the cairn, and over several 8-hour periods, because it's one aggravated per 8 hour of rest period, he would have gotten back on his feet in a couple of days. So yes, you're correct that he would not have died, but shifting would not have instantly healed him because that was all aggravated damage. Sentinel confirms Silver Fangs don't have Mother's Touch, not in W20. Good, all right. That makes sense. I remembered that Silver Fangs, there's one gift they have that I never remember what it is, that I always go like, huh? Why do they have that? And since I don't ever remember what it is, it could have been Mother's Touch for all I know. I think like literally... Oh, never mind.
Fuck! No!
Oh no. Did not see that coming a mile away.
Wait, I know you.
I am Richard Watkins, Endron's CEO. I've been keeping tabs on you for a long time.
Then, you knew.
Of course. Your little attack, your little plans. We knew everything. I've been trying to identify you for some time. You can't imagine all the wonderful things we'll be able to accomplish with you. Losing a few sites was a small price to pay. I've got great hopes for you, my dear.
Mr. Watkins, we'll be at our destination in 2 hours.
What have you done to me?
Sweet dreams.
That helicopter. Find out where it's going.
I managed to intercept one of their calls. They were talking about a package they were delivering to Meridian State Prison in Nevada. They also talked about some treatment. They want to do something to her.
Find out all you can about this prison, and get things ready for our departure. As soon as I'm back, we're leaving for Nevada.
But what about Rodko? Are we just gonna leave him?
There's nothing we can do for him now, Ava. I'm sorry. But 80's our priority. Rodko would have said the same thing.
I know.
The backup generator. Rutko's scent is still fresh here.
Okay. Now, I'm a bit puzzled as to why the CEO of Endron, who probably has, like, tens of thousands of, well, not tens of thousands, but several Garou kinfolk just, like, locked up willy-nilly in all kinds of places, is just suddenly happy to have this one particular kinfolk in his grasp. It's not like kinfolk are particularly rare or that well hidden. I mean, for regular folks, sure, but for a high profile Endron executive like him, if he wants a kinfolk, he's just gonna have like 4 by morning. So I guess my point is, I'm wondering if they're implying that Adana is special in some way, or if it's something they're just doing for this game, as if kinfolk were something different. I don't know. We'll see.
Have to get her back before they do anything. Don't lose your head, Ava. Without you, we're blind.
And we're back. Is it still blue? No. Okay, we're good. All right. What? Leave the outpost. Defeat the creature. What creature? You're the creature? Oh, wow. Okay. Creature is Fumurai, as in pretty much the most basic enemy in Werewolf the Apocalypse.
Decided to pull out all the stops.
Cahal, Endron set up these new weird pumps. I don't know what they're injecting into the earth, but Ethan is suffering.
I'll take care of it, Ava. Get your crew together and leave for Nevada. Find Aiden.
That's the plan. Contact me on my terminal as soon as you're finished.
Cahal, the forces of the worm have returned.
They never left.
They spread unfettered across this land. Humans, this is their work. Use your penumbra vision and find them. Stop them. I asked the other Garou to leave. They were likely to fall prey to the worm. But I know that you will withstand it.
chat says Fumari are not really the most basic, but yeah, they should know about Fumari. They're not, well, they kind of are. I mean, you've got Scrags and or Uralaths that are potentially more basic, or just regular humans, but they're pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole, and I'm just wondering where the heck I'm supposed to go now. Just a bit turnaround. And they're very common, and like, for example, Endron, well, Pentex in general is rather fond of using a particular breed known as toads as foremen on pretty much any rig. So it's just they're very frequent. They're commonplace. They have, you know, specific roles that are widely known and frequent among Pentex. This is not supposed to be a reveal in any way. Okay, so not that door. Okay, what's my reach the forest? I agree, but okay, let's just not be stupid about it. Okay, I came from, I don't even remember where I came from. Probably here, right? Does that make sense? I think so, because there were boxes and I was lower level, which means that is somewhere I haven't been. Okay, I remember this. There was a computer here. Still is. Oh, wait, what? Oh, okay. It was just all deactivated. Sure. Probably so I'm just gonna have to face them and not just be able to leave. Okay, I'm not gonna hear either, and that may be the way out. Yes, this is the way out. Okay. Destroy Endron's pump. Okay. Well, there's one right there, so let's do that. But first, chat says, okay, so this is actually an interesting conundrum for this game. If the totem spirit tells you to leave, should you leave and risk breaking the litany, or stay and upset your totem and possibly have it abandon the cairn? Well, the totem is kind of bound there, so he can't really leave, but he can be pissed as hell and make your life very miserable. I would say that is a very interesting conundrum, and I would say sucks for the werewolf because there's no good answer. They're just gonna have to make a call and live with the whatever consequences there are. I do agree, though. That's a very interesting thing to plug in a game. I like it. To remember, though, in theory, the Totem of a Cairn is not in a position of leadership per se. The situation with the Cairn Totem is more of a negotiation kind of thing. You have to keep it happy, right? But it's not your boss. However, it's definitely his cairn, and he has a lot of power on that cairn, so you kind of have to automatically say yes.
As they poison the earth, the worm's corruption spreads.
So you're really describing a situation that's hard. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to just tell you what the right answer is in that particular scenario.
It's strange. Compared to samples taken just 200 meters from here, the difference is staggering. The sample taken by the dam contains less than 1/10 of the number of aquatic life forms.
You're a spirit. You're not a spirit. So wherever I go, down here, someone's going to see me. So let me just try, I guess, to potentially approach at least this guy quickly. Oh, no. Just Krynos right away. Okay.
One down.
Oh. I get a bit of a sniff every time. Cool. Glad to sniff. Yeah, that came out wrong. I take responsibility for that. It's fine. Oh, okay. Okay, so I've got to go through the bridge to get through the other one, so I'm going to do this one first. Sniff, sniff. Well, actually, those just talk.
Ethan remains defiant, but his strength will only hold out for so much longer. Make haste.
Well, you're actually slowing me down, buddy. I was literally going to go in there. So, you know, screw you. Wait, now I can stealth? Or not. I do like their Fumurai though. That's not what Fumurai look like. I mean, they could, I guess. What I'm saying is they're not a type of breed that's are necessarily in the book, but theoretically Fumurai can be pretty much anything. So it's really not a bad take on them, and I like, however, that they're not all the same. I kind of expected all the Fumurai to be exact copies of each other, but no, we've got some like these that are a bit more arachnid. This guy was, I don't know what that was, but it seemed like it was defensive, and there were the other ones that just attack through the earth or something. That was a variety I did not expect. Once again though, why make up something when you've already got like entire books filled with Fumurai in them, ready to go and ready to use? I guess the story will take me there eventually.
Getting the same results with the new DNA tests. Do you think we've discovered a new species?
I highly doubt that. Let's just collect the samples and get out of this godforsaken place. I don't like what I've heard about those activists that live in these woods.
I think the spirit is in the building, so I'm gonna just go there. I mean, to the other site. Unless I can sneak into it somehow. There's gotta be a way, right? It wouldn't just be there for no gosh darn reason, right? Oh shit, I'm stuck in Geo. Okay, good. I'm okay now. Alright then, I don't know how to get into that. There's a spirit. Or not. No, the spirit's over there. Oh, okay, great. I can have more sniff. The other two, though, they really seem to be inside of the fence, so I'll still give it a try. Might as well. I mean, if I can get more sniffs, Are you the sniff? You're the sniff. Hello. Don't mind me, I'm just sniffing. Let's quickly try that. Lupus. And... okay. So from what I saw, the spirits are literally like there. I can see it right there. They're both here. Okay, so this is locked, but there's a line. Line goes up in there. Oh, yay. Have I been here? Probably. Isn't that like the beginning of the game or something like that? That's where the sniffs are, right? I think so. No. Further away? Oh, I'm not in Lupus. Sorry, I'm going to go to Lupus. Try this again. Yeah, they're over there. Alright. Should be one. There we go. Chat wants to know what I'm doing. When I'm in Lupus, I can see spirits through the wall. They're this white shine thing. So I knew there were two here, and I was just ready to get them, I guess. There we go. Because they've been nagging at me for several hours now. I could see them through the walls. Last time when I was playing and trying to look for the missing spirits, I kept seeing those two spots and thinking I couldn't reach them, where actually I can. So there we go. Now they won't call to me now. Okay. Oh, this one is puking from afar. That's a fairly nice variety. Again, it's not, you know, that impressive. Many games will have that kind of variety, but considering what I'd seen so far, I just didn't expect it. So I'm happy it's in there. Because that's one of the main thing with Fumrai. Again, most of them are completely different. If they're not part of a particular breed, essentially created in a particular way, and that particular way is just repeated, which is something that Pentex actually does a lot. Create specific breeds. Well, that's why we have breeds, actually. Mostly it's because of Pentex, who is repeatedly using the same techniques to create specific Fumrai. But most of the Fumrai that happen, let's say, randomly in nature are unique.
Do not delay, warrior of Gaia. The
forest is dying.
Literally already finished the quest, buddy. So while we should be seeing specific breeds, because this is a Pentex thing, I appreciate that they at the very least tried to show the sheer variety of possibilities with the Fomori. Alright, Ethan, the job is done.
Humans are bleeding Gaia dry and strengthening the worm.
Yep, you said that before, buddy.
The worm is on the ebb, but its servants still live. Ready yourself. They are here, and they are waiting for you.
So we literally left the cairn empty just so Garner, which by the way we just read was back in Nevada, can come and okay.
That's been killing my men.
Yay, cannon feathers, so I get rage.
Be gone. This is no place for bloodshed. Make the Umbra take you.
What? Stay calm! This changes nothing! Collect his fucking head!
Yeah, that's not a thing. I know of no power whatsoever that can just... I mean, there are some gifts that can maybe let you grab someone, or there's a very, like, level 5 Duisha gift where you can create a big doorway so people can step into the Umbra, but massively bringing a bunch of people into the Umbra... that would be, well, you'd need definitely at least Incarnate level to do that, which technically a totem is. It's just not a power I've ever seen. Next, if they were brought into the Umbra, they would have been brought into the Penumbra, which is what I see when I press R. And as you can see, it's the same world, just with, you know, different colors, kind of. It doesn't take you to a place with floating islands. That is not what the Umbra is. It is when you... Well, it could be a representation if you go to the near Umbra, but, I mean... we're literally here, so it's got... We're still in the cairn, is what I'm saying. This would be the Penumbra, not the near Umbra. If somehow... Ethan brought us straight to the near Umbra. He's powerful. That's not a totem to mess with. Honestly, at that point, Ethan would probably just be strong enough to just kill them all on his own. So I'm not sure why he bothered bringing them here. I mean, it makes a cool boss fight. A cool arena, I guess, for a boss fight. Don't get me wrong, it really does. It just makes no sense. Okay. So she wasn't on the moon path. So she's probably going to get lost in the near Umbra. Probably going to end up somewhere in the Abyss. When you get lost in the Umbra, you tend to eventually find your way into the Abyss. So in other words, he did not remotely kill her. He's just going to eventually turn into a spirit somewhere lost in... Because when humans get into the Umbra, they can't eat, right? But instead of dying of starvation, what they do is that they kind of turn into spirits. And yeah. No, they die. Sorry. Werewolves turn into spirits, I think. They feed on their noses instead of feeding on food, and when they run out, they just kind of turn to spirits, right? Humans just die because there's nothing they can eat. They can't get any sustenance. So she's going to die eventually, but gonna fall for a long time until she maybe reaches the Abyss. That was a weird fight, though. I'm just like, I'm right here in their face, ready to kill her, and then I just roar because I can, and she kicks me back, and then I just rip the thing and drop her. That reeks of we did not want to kill her yet because we want to bring her back somehow for another fight later on. But I mean, unless she's got extensive umbral travel training, she is lost. Trained werewolves can get lost in the Umbra. You need particularly nice stats. Like, there's umbral maps that exists that you can have, and you're usually gonna have some kind of a guide when you want to go into the Umbra. That's one of the specialties, for example, of Silent Striders. They're known for being pretty good umbral guides, or Coraxes, which have a stat specifically for that, the aforementioned umbral maps. If you don't know where you're going, the second you step off of a moon bridge or moon path or whichever you were on, the flippin' second you're off of that, or an airt, you could follow an airt, you're not going to find your way back. It's just not going to happen unless you really know what you're doing. And I very much doubt she has any clue what she's doing. So if she comes back, because this is going to be the end of Act 1, if she comes back at the end of Act 2, pissed off that I got her lost in the Umbra, no. Just no. Terry says, I mean, you can technically stop through the Karen Heart. Yes, that's true. You have to will the shift, however. You go on the heart, and whichever site you want to be when you step out is where you're going to be. It's an effort of will, just like werewolves get to willingly want to shift, for example. So a totem could force, I would assume, especially regular humans that are not at least part spirit. I could see that in a being something they can do that wouldn't be particularly powerful. But I don't even know where the heart of the forest is. It hasn't been established, and that probably wasn't it. I mean, it's not subtle. It's not subtle. Unless it's the circle of stones where I usually stand before I talk to Ethan, that could be that. But if that's the case, it's not what I imagine as a Karen Heart. But it could be. It's fair enough, it could be. And they were pretty much right there. So, sure. But even so, that takes you to the Penumbra, not the near Umbra. Nomad says, I think I wanted a cool fight in Umbra. Yes, that's absolutely what's happening here. That was not the way to do it. Again, adaptation. They can do whatever the fuck they want. I'm just saying, if you're trying to be accurate, that wasn't it. And Therese like, Ethan is lazy. Yeah, I'm just going to bring them into Umbra. They're going to fight it out. I don't need to kill them. It looks like that's what it was, I guess. Terra is theorizing that if she comes back, it could be because she's actually a cyber dog who lost the wolf, which is a faction of glasswalkers. maybe she does know her way around the Umbra, if that's the case. I doubt it. I doubt it. Could be, but I doubt it. Alright, let's see what happens next.
You have freed this territory from the clutches of the worm, and the spirits are returning to the forest. Your fight for the cairn is over. Yet, in spite of your victories, your spirit is troubled.
Oh, maybe we're gonna get an explanation.
When I was fighting Tank Girl, where exactly did you send us?
Deep inside the Umbra, the spirit world. You can discern but the Umbra's surface. I took you into its depths.
So, straight into the near Umbra.
It was the only way you could fight the servants of the worm without bringing harm to Gaia's domain.
Very arguable. By the way, let's not get confused. He says deep into the Umbra. The deep Umbra is another layer of the Umbra, and that was even less it. You can't... Most werewolves don't survive the trip stepping into the deep Umbra. The deep Umbra is where definitions stop being. So most of the things that go there, if they're not particularly well-defined / powerful spirits, they kind of just stop existing, plain and simple. So that was not deep Umbra, that was near Umbra, which is pretty huge, and all the Umbral realms are in there. I did think of another thing though. It could have been a pocket realm. Pocket realms are something I can easily see a spirit powerful enough to be a Cairn Totem be able to do, and pocket realms just exist inside of the gauntlet. So, and some of them just spawn naturally. So it would have been something much more doable than sending them into the near Umbra. Soteria says, I am being cyber. Armest saying she's... Okay. I think what Terry is saying is that he's guessing Cyberdog because of her arm. Yeah, true. That's right. She does have a weird arm, if I remember correctly. Yeah, could be. Yeah. Those are canonically usually the only ones who have mechanical arms and stuff like that. So it actually could be. That might make some sense. Although they did significantly step up the technological side of Pentex. By the books, Pentex, they don't have mechas, they don't have turrets, they don't have that kind of technological level. I'm allowing it / excusing it in this game because it's a video game. Villains usually have that kind of tech in video games. You need versatility in your enemies. So I'm just not reading too much into it. But yeah, having mechanical arms is not really a thing in the world of darkness outside of very specific spheres. The world is not more technologically advanced in Werewolf than it is in the real world. It's exactly the same. But there are particular groups, such as the Cyberdogs, who have access to more advanced technology. They get it deep in the Umbra in a place called the Cyber Realm. You also have some mages and technocrates, which are the antagonists of mages, that create more advanced technology for essentially their own personal uses. So it's a thing. It's just not a thing you're ever going to see walking around a Pentex facility. Deep Umbra, where Triad and true forms of the planets are. As far as I know, no. True forms of the planets aren't there. They're actually in the near Umbra. They usually have spots in the ethereal realm. However, yes, Triad definitely there. Even Gaia isn't there. She's actually in the another near realm known as the if memory serves, the summer country, is it? At the bottom of a weird well placed there. Or another theory is that she is also potentially in the Flux. There's a big white dragon there in the Flux. One of the theories is that she's that particular dragon. Probably they're both correct. Spirits of that level can exist at multiple places at the same time under different incarnations. So it is generally considered that the vulnerable, nurturing, dying Gaia that we usually see is the one that's in the summer country, just not moving at the bottom of her well and just dying there. Whereas the dragon in the Flux is usually understood to be her primal, dangerous, angry part, because she represents nature, as we said. Nature is not wild. Nature is Gaian. So all of the primal forces of the world, like storms, like very bad earthquakes, all of this vengeful nature side of it is personified in that dragon. That's one of the theories. It's never been confirmed in the books, but it's heavily hinted. Terria's like, hey, technocrats are the good ones. Just me hating on mages, he puts in parentheses. And actually, they're not bad guys. They're just the antagonists of mages. But mage is an interesting setting, philosophically speaking, because although mages are posited as the good guys and technocracy are posited as their enemies, they're never clearly stated to be bad guys. Like, sure, in the core books of the early editions, they didn't go any further than that. It was just like mage good, technocracy bad. So yes, early on, they were the bad guys. But eventually, when they thought about making them playable, they started to really expand and thinking on the technocracy and starting to show them in a very different light, less evil, twirly, mustachy, evil dudes. And realize that technocrates are actually trying to save mankind. I'm not going to go into too many details about it, but they're super interesting to get to know, and honestly, they are not wrong. Just quick parentheses, from the perspective of the technocracy, originally they were known as the Order of Reason, and they came to be about back when the consensus was basically a suggestion, and there was paradox, but it wasn't really a big deal back then. So the result was that mages could just fry entire villages on a whim. They rode on dragons, and they just, turned people to stone on a whim all the time. It was a terrifying time to be alive. Think way back like 1400s, if memory serves. That's when other mages, they don't see themselves as mages, but they are mages, stood up and said, okay, enough. You're all psychopaths. You're very scary. You're messing with cosmic forces, and you're just too dangerous to be allowed. So they stood up to protect the poor little villager that was turned to a newt. They stood up to protect the person who's been cursed or whatnot. They stood up to be the defense of mankind, and their ultimate goal is not to control mankind or even control the consensus. Their ultimate goal is for humanity to ascend and take control for their own, be their masters of their own destiny. That is the technocracy's goal, and it's a good goal. It's undeniably a good goal. Whereas I can't say the same of certain mage traditions. From their own perspective, they're all the good guys. Sure. And they can make a good pitch. Sure. But when you see how one of the main themes of Mage is hubris and taking things too far. Technocades do that too. They go too far all the time too. But they're less terrifying than some of the other traditions if left unchecked. Some are better, but some are terrifying if you just let them do what they want. If they win the so-called Ascension War and just decide what the consensus is going to be, some of them is basically hell on earth. That's all I'm going to say for now. Terria says, it sounds like a very Shadow Lord theory. Not sure which part I said was the Shadow Lord theory. I've been talking for a while, so I'm sorry, I lost track. And he says, we serve actual Gaia, because serving Grandfather Thunder, not the wimpy dying in the well one. Okay, so the Shadow Lord thing is probably related to when I was talking about Gaia, so I'm not quite sure which of the two theories. Oh, you mean the thunderstorm type thing being tied to Gaia? Yes, Shadow Lords do see Grandfather Thunder as a primal force of nature as well. To be fair, they kind of bump him up a lot in terms of power level and relevance. They see him as Gaia's mate, which is not the case. But yes, he is also a representation of a primal force of nature. That part is absolutely correct. Technocracy stuff is the reason why Victorian Age is so interesting. It is just before they rebranded. Actually, completely true. Yes. I am so happy we're finally seeing Victorian Mage. I haven't read the book and I'm already in love with it. Everything I heard about that book, I'm very much looking forward to reading. And it's gonna be hard not to be tempted to run Mage again. I tried to run Technocrates actually a couple of years back, and some people in the chat were in that game. It was hard. I thought running Technocracy would be easier than Mage, mainly because Technocrates don't believe they're mages and they just do anything through tech, which is fine to a certain degree when you're running certain particular branches of the Technocracy, right? But a lot of what they do as spells make no sense in terms of trying to explain it through a lens that the character makes sense. Like, there are parts in the book where, like, just like tilting your glass is a mind spell because now you can read that person's mind. How is that science? What? So I feel I was not able to properly convey to my players, mostly because I didn't have a strong enough grasp of how to actually play Technocracy. Despite reading all the books, I literally read every book ever written on Technocracy. I was not able to synthesize them enough, internalize them enough for me to be able to run the game properly and for me to be able to guide my players well enough, I guess. So eventually I just finished. I stopped the game because I was struggling too much to get the story where I wanted it and trying to rule the game through the paradigms, because I'm a huge fan of paradigms, and I was just not able to convey that properly, which I think will be less of a problem with Victorian Mage because it is magic, right? It literally just is magic. So you don't have to comprehend it at all. You can just go like, yeah, what I do is numerology. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna, use a pad and just crunch some numbers in there, write a magical square and put some numbers into it, and I want to make this effect. Okay, cool, thank you. That's going to work, right? So it's easier to integrate your paradigm in play, I think, as a mage, and I thought it was actually going to be the other way around, and I was just horribly wrong. So I'm very much looking forward to Victorian Age. Also because me and Stanil, who's hello in chat, hey, reacting. Me and her were huge fans of the Victorian era, so I'm seriously thinking, at the very least, running like I'm doing with my Star Trek, at least one story, a 3 or 4 game long story, just to have a blast in that setting, and just maybe a couple of months later run another story there. But maybe a couple of short stories in the Victorian Age, I think will be. I think I'm just gonna have to. I don't see how I could not run that when I get the book in my hands. It's gonna be a hell of a blast. Yeah, so very much looking forward to that. So let me catch up with chat. Nomad is smiling because he was also in the game with us. Dentura says, I mean, there's a whole book about them now, so you just did it too early. There was already a whole book about them before. There's a Guide to Technocracy for Revised Edition, and all of the I'm going to say traditions, convention. All of the convention of Technocrates have also their books. So there is literally 6 books about Technocracy, and now there's a 7th that came out this year. I've read all of them except a new one. I'm waiting to have my paper version because I backed it, so I'm waiting to receive it, to read it. But I've read all of the other 6 books about the Technocracy. I know them well. I can talk about them forever. I love them, but I'm unable to play them. Something just isn't clicking, sadly. Oh, thank you. Nomad says, you did good, we had fun. Well, thank you, Nomad. I do appreciate that very, very much. It was just me. It was all me. I wasn't able to get where I needed to be, and I was struggling with that particular game. That was all me. But thank you very much, however, for telling me you had fun. That's nice. Thank you. In the same vein, Stanil is saying, I miss Octolivia. She had a pet octopus called Octolivia. That's what she's talking about. She says, we did have fun. Thank you again. And continues saying, Victorian Mage, if I'm not invited, I'll disown you. That's completely fair, and you're absolutely invited. You and Jack, of course, who does the Victorian Ball with me and Stanil every year, is very much involved, as much as we are, actually. I just don't know if he loves the era as much as Stanil and I do, because we've never really spoken about it. So that's why I didn't include him when I said that, but I'm having a blast with both of them at the ball, of course, so they're both automatically invited if I'm going to be doing that. I just don't want to take for granted and speak on his behalf and assume that he loves the era, because I don't know if he does. Terrarius then says, I have major problem with Mage as a setting inside Wall of Darkness and hate open magic systems. But it really is close to end and you need to continue. You're absolutely right. I'm just going to continue by saying that I also have issues with dynamic magic. Mostly because it's hell to rule as a storyteller. I kind of wished that they gave us stronger tools to have specific, levels, kind of like we do with Werewolf and it does exist. They're called rotes. You can buy specific rotes, but they're very generic in the sense that they're not built for a particular paradigm in mind and that kind of thing. So it's hard to pick and choose and build a character around rotes for a specific tradition and a specific paradigm within that tradition and make it work. You can, but it's going to be too broad or extremely limited. So, yeah. I mean, I love it. in principle, but in practice, it's very hard to play and DM. Nomad says, I like all era when they're well played. I have no worry when you're around. Oh, dang, you're on fire, Nomad, tonight. Wow, thank you. Just, wow, thank you. Okay, well, after that kind of compliment, it's gonna be hard to not do the mage thing. So yes, I guess I'll poke the both of you when I do the Victorian era game. I'm probably just gonna do it with only the two of you, actually, if now that I think about it, because Victorian age is gonna be a lot more social, so I think it's gonna be easier to have a very small group of players so we can properly delve into the social and the politics and all of that. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't have any idea yet of what kind of story I would even run, so I'll see what inspiration comes to me when I have the book in my hand, but potentially it'll be just the two of you. Okay, so let's finish this. I'm going to finish a conversation with Ethan, take a quick look around, see if there's any side quests we can do before we move to Nevada, if that's even what's going to happen. But we're pretty much done within the next 10, 20-ish minutes, if I can find a good spot to finish tonight.
Those engine security members transformed into strange creatures. How did that happen?
The worm has corrupted their bodies to mirror the twistedness of their souls. They are possessed by Bane's spirits of the worm. They become Fomori, the deformed creatures that you fought. You can use your penumbra vision to detect this corruption and anticipate their change.
It actually makes sense. It's not a thing, but it makes a whole world of sense. Terry says, I've never had you as an ST, so sadly no compliments from me. It's probably going to happen sooner or later, but thank you for the sentiment. And he confirms I will have a good stopping point soon, so that's really glad. Oh, Nomad is going to sleep. I assume Stanel is going to go as well, but thank you for coming. Thank you very much for the compliments. That is extremely appreciated. I wish you both a good night.
We have lost our leader, and our pack is scattered. Even heavier on my heart, Endron has taken my daughter.
I felt the Silverfang submit to his rage. Though you may
Night, Stanel. Thanks for coming.
The rest of your life, you did what had to be done.
Not even close. There were so many ways of handling that.
Find your daughter. I will call the Garou back to this cairn and continue my endless vigil. We shall meet again.
So I told him to leave for...
Ava must have found 80. She must have.
Right, because he was afraid they would succumb to the worm. Yeah, okay. I suppose that's... Okay. I mean, there were regular humans around here, so that kind of tracks. So if I go there, I'm leaving for Nevada, but I'm assuming that this is a side quest I can take. Yay, help Ethan. Servants of the Worm.
The servants of the worm have once more taken possession of the lands from which you...
So 5 minutes ago, you did the thing, but they're back.
I need your help to drive the worm from here permanently. Find them and destroy them.
Okay. Oh, now you give me clear objectives. Okay. I can't save at will, can I? No. Okay, so I'm gonna hope I see the game say that it saves soon. Just gonna potentially do one outpost or something. That's probably gonna do the trick. Had I known, I would have waited before sneaking in here, but okay. Okay. What? Oh, the car blew up. Yeah, buddy, you're out of your league. Why am I still in Kronos? Oh! Purifying the outpost. Save successful. Good enough for me. Okay. So we're pretty much finishing exactly at 10, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. Alright. So I'm just going to quickly run through chat one last time, and then we'll be done for tonight. There is like, what, Garou? Ava's going to Nevada. Oh, no, I thought that was... right, okay. I thought it was dissing on Ava again, but no, he's actually got a strong point. As far as we know, the only Garou left is Ava, and Ava is going to Nevada. So if we're also going to Nevada, there is literally only humans left to protect the cairn. Okay. That is a thing. That is happening. Then he says, I think it'll be fine. I think he was referring to the game saving. And then says, any progress you do now will not be saved unless you go into the loud zone. Not sure what the loud zone is, but he later switched his stance because it's saved. So yeah, we're good for now. Okay, quickly. Do we have spirits? No. Alright, so that is going to be that for tonight. I'm not gonna quit to the menu because we know that song is copyrighted. So I'm just gonna say goodbye here. It's now 10, so we played for 3 hours. That was nice. I liked it. I'm getting to know the combat system a little more. It's just weird that I kind of have to relearn it every time I play because I do a whole bunch of other games in between, so I just kind of completely forget the controls whenever I go back. So I don't know. We'll see what happens if it keeps happening. So I'm sorry, by the way, if you're looking at the game and just every time like wonder why I get my ass kicked. It's because I literally don't remember how to heal and things like that. I just need to pick it up again every time I play. However, I'm starting to like the game. When I get back in control of my abilities, I can do a little bit more of I got a bit more control into the flow of battle, which is interesting. So I'm having more fun. Story is getting interesting a bit more, although I have no attachment to the characters, unfortunately. They're going for drama a lot, but it feels shoved into my throat, so it's not really working. And the fact that I know werewolves so well, instead of enhancing my enjoyment, is just making me a little bit neutral, because I'm just seeing like, okay, what are you going for here? And that's not how it works, and all of that. Like, I think if you come into this game for the first time, I guess it's a double-sided sword in both conditions, because for me it's just I'm thinking like, oh yeah, this might be cool, but instead I get like, oh okay, what is this? Or I go like, that's not how it works. So when you do plug something else from the game, I'm just like, oh okay, could have been this, but instead it's that. Okay, fine, you're adapting, that's fine. But if you're coming without the knowledge of werewolf, probably those are just really cool things. Like if you're not familiar with how rage works, for example, you might have fun playing as a huge werewolf that's particularly slow and feels like a mecha, for example. You may have more fun with the combat than I do because you don't have these expectations. Also, the cool Umbral fight is cool, probably, if you don't see it as a what the fuck is happening, this is nowhere close to how metaphysics work in werewolf, right? So for me it kind of just breaks my immersion when they do moves like that. They're cool, they're super cool, I get why they're doing it, and once again it's an adaptation, so they can do whatever the hell they like. I get it, but it just takes me out of it a little bit every time. So I guess it's a bit more of a game that's a better introduction, in the sense that if you don't know werewolf, you're going to get more money out of it. However, you're also going to get the wrong currency, because almost none of it is accurate. So it's really double-edged. Yeah. Like, the nomenclature is okay, but they're calling it Fomori, right? But they're acting like someone just invented Fomori today, but we've been fighting Fomori for millennia. It's not a new thing. I understand, however, once again, this being an adaptation in a new media, like a lot of adaptations do, they're trying to give you a perspective, a coming into it perspective. That's why a lot of movies, like for example the Mortal Kombat movies, they're bringing the main character is a whole new character. It's not a character that exists in the Mortal Kombat universe. It's a whole new character because he's the entry point of the user into this media. Anyone who comes into watching the Mortal Kombat movie and doesn't know the lore will discover the lore through this character. In the case of werewolf, what they're doing, instead of creating a character that is learning these things, which would have been a cub who just got their first change, for example, which honestly would have been a better take, would explain why I'm just always out of rage, and just like it's not as good. And one of the late things I get is just being able to use my rage correctly so I can slash a couple of people. And it would also explain why I don't have gifts, for example. If I had been a cub, much of what they're doing in this game would have clicked a lot more. But instead what they're doing is that they're putting in the shoes of an experienced werewolf, and to be able to introduce these notions to a person coming into werewolf without knowing these things, they instead are presenting him as if they are new things. It's a common way of doing it when you're adapting. It's just super weird. Oftentimes when you do that, it's going to be, for example, when you're adapting your media to a media where all of this is actually new. Think of the MCU, for example. Like, we're going to space for the first time. We're introducing magic for the first time. In the universe of the MCU, it's the first time we're seeing this thing. In the comic books, we've had all of that forever. But for the MCU, that's new. So even though they're well-established characters, it's canonically, and it makes sense in that version, the first time they see magic. In the universe of werewolf, sure, maybe the video game universe of werewolf is different, but I'm not ready to believe that somehow it's different to the point where no one's ever seen a Fomori. Once again, they're pretty basic. So what the hell have werewolves been fighting all these years if werewolves, if Fomori are new things? Or if Ethan is like, This is a Bane. Like, why? How can you not know what a Bane is, right? It's just weird. I get, once again, why they're doing it. To introduce newcomers into the lore. That makes sense. It's just... It should have been a first change story. And the character then could have gone, what the hell is this? And then someone nearby is gonna, oh, that's a samurai. That's like super common. But for this character, it's new. And for this character, it's a big deal. And for this character, it has to learn to deal with this new threat he wasn't aware of. It would have been a much better approach. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit with the storyline they went for, where you've got this grizzled old guy who's been shifting for a while as his family, and then we skip 5 years. Their story doesn't work with that particular angle, but it really is, I think, what they should have done, especially, like, not even taking into account like Heart of the Forest, who did do that, starting from that point. When this game got licensed, it was the first werewolf game ever. Well, they tried to do other games, but it never came out. Their perspective was, this is the first time we're doing something in this medium. So at the time, they didn't know Heart of the Forest was going to be there to lay the groundwork for them in terms of setting the basics. They didn't know any of that. They were the first one doing werewolf, so I'm a bit confused as to why their first instinct was, let's start at the end and present it as if it was the start. It's just confusing. It's I don't think it was the right call. We'll see where it goes, though. Once again, I'm having fun. I'm being critical of it. It doesn't mean I'm not enjoying it. It's different, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Some of the design, however, is not exactly top-notch. Yeah, sure. I'm still having fun. I'm enjoying this game. I'm just picking it apart from a game design perspective in terms of how to adapt things. Some of the calls were, I think, not optimal. I'm still having fun. Okay, so Terra says, I mean, it happens during Grand Councils because all Garou go to those. I've said so much in the past couple of minutes, I'm not sure what happens during Grand Councils. But yes, that's a thing. It exists. Grand Congregations, I believe they're called, do happen in Werewolf the Apocalypse. Those are usually called by some sept leaders or tribal leaders who have enough clout to make it happen, and then everyone in the region just shows up. So yeah. Oh, do you mean like situations where a cairn would be empty? Right. Yeah. That is pretty much one of the only situations where a cairn would be empty. But even then, I mean, they would leave spiritual defenses, which this cairn doesn't have. They would leave kinfolks. They would take steps to make this safe. Also, another thing to consider, cairns are connected by moon bridges, which it's not instantaneous travel, but it's pretty damn quick travel. So if you get a call in the middle of your congregation from a kinfolk saying, well, Granddad, shit, the worm is attacking, it's just going to take, they're going to run back through, it connects from one heart of a cairn to another, so you're just going to run through the cairn heart and just go back to your own cairn and protect it from there. So that is, that's a thing. So you can leave a cairn, yes. It's just once or twice in a lifetime kind of event. Anyway, so it is time now for me to wish you all a good evening. I hope you've enjoyed the game. I'm trying not to be too critical because, once again, I'm enjoying the game. I hope I'm not giving the impression that I'm not. I just want to be clear of what's different essentially, because once again, what I'm doing here is deep dives. I'm giving lore, which is a bit hard to do because there's a lot that's not accurate to the books. It's accurate to whatever this video game version of this setting is, just like the MCU is different from the comic books. It's accurate to their own thing, but compared to the lore of the books, there's a lot that is completely different, so it's harder for me to just give you the lore. Instead, I have to focus on, well, that's not how it is. So it sounds like I'm being negative when I'm actually just trying to separate the two to teach whoever's listening what's the actual by the book version of it. Now, in terms of systems, okay, I'm critical about those. They're not as good as they could be, but they're not bad either. When I'm getting used to them, I'm having fun. So it's just not. There's a barrier to entry, I suppose, that is not ideal, but it does actually end up working, and it does actually end up being fun. So I'm just saying, if I'm being too critical, I apologize. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm trying actually to stay open-minded and just explain game design theory and explain Werewolf as I go. It just comes off as negative because, well, they're doing things different. On that, thank you very much for coming tonight. And next week, we will be purifying 2 more outposts and going into the second hub zone, I guess, of the game, which will be Nevada. I hope you enjoyed tonight, and see you all next week.